everyone, my name is Kirsten Larson. I'm the author of Reimagining Your Nonfiction Picture Book, and today I'm here to talk about a survey I recently undertook. Does my nonfiction picture book have to be less than 1,000 words? Nonfiction picture book writers often have heard that their book has to be 1,000 words or fewer, sometimes even 800 words or fewer. But where is this information coming from, and is it really true? To get the straight scoop, I undertook a word count survey for debut nonfiction authors in early 2024 to see what word counts editors are actually acquiring and publishing. The authors in this survey had previously not been published in any category. The reason was that previously published authors, no matter the genre or category, may have more freedom and flexibility when it comes to word count. So this was an opt-in survey that I conducted using a Google form to collect the data. And aside from publicizing the survey on social media, I reached out to debut authors whom I found by searching Publishers Marketplace deals from 2021 onward. That's when Publishers Marketplace started breaking out nonfiction picture books from fiction. And I also contacted authors through debut picture book marketing groups. The data set includes books acquired between 2017 and 2023 for publication between 2020 and 2027. I included not yet published picture books in the survey as long as the editing and the basic layout were complete so that authors would know the final word count and the final page count. The survey was open from February 7th through March 7th, 2024, and received 40 responses. 14 of those were picture book biographies and 26 were other nonfiction. And I'm going to tell you the publishers represented in that survey data. So Calkins Creek, Mine Edition, Barefoot Books, Millbrook, Beaming Books, HarperCollins, there were several imprints, Little Brown Books for Young Readers, Chronicle, Web of Life Books, Knopf, Running Press Kids, Capstone, Albert Whitman, Peachtree, Scholastic, Sleeping Bear, Becker and Mayer Kids, Yehoo Press, Worthy Kids, Page Street Kids, Holiday House, Viking, Simon & Schuster, Sky Pony Press, Carbon Publishing, and Tilbury House. So we have a number of publishers represented. So here is the high-level analysis. So the question is, do nonfiction picture books have to be under 1,000 words to be acquired? Well, the answer is no, especially when it comes to picture book biographies. You can see the average word count was 1,116 words. Picture book biographies tend to be longer than other nonfiction picture books, both at acquisitions and at publication. The range at publication was 730 to 1,400 words. So you can see that there's a broad range of types of books that are being produced. And here's another really interesting fact. 50% of the time with these picture book biographies, the number of words increased in the editing process. So 50% of the time, the number of words increased. 14% of the time they stayed the same, and only 36% of the time were picture book biographies shrinking as they were going through editing. So that's, I think that's a really interesting tidbit. And I wanted to show you a little bit underneath the data. So this shows you the 14 individual books. The blue word count is the length of the text when it was acquired by an editor. And the red line is the published word count of the main text only after it was published. So you can see that a lot of these books are clustering around this sweet spot of about 850 to 1,300 words once they are published. So why might picture book biographies be running longer than 1,000 words? Well, first of all, they're geared towards older readers. So the data showed that most of the time these books are geared towards kids more in the 5 to 9 plus range versus regular picture books, which typically target kids 4 to 8. These picture book biographies also tend to run longer in terms of pages. The most frequent page count was 40 pages as opposed to 32 pages, which is more common for fiction picture books. So we have both longer words and we're spreading those words out over more pages. Another factor that could contribute to higher word count in picture book biographies is the book's narrative structure. Narrative books typically make use of scenes, and crafting vivid scenes, which are snippets of minute by minute action with thoughts and emotion and potentially dialogue. Crafting those scenes requires a lot more words than summarizing information after the fact. So that may be another reason that these books tend to skew longer. So let's look for other nonfiction. So other nonfiction picture books had a much broader range. They were acquired at 93 to 1,113 words, and their published length was about 74 to 1,185 words. Now, I do have to say I did need to exclude one book from this survey. We had one book included that was acquired at 6,400 words. Its published length was 6,000 words spread over 48 pages. And when I included it in the other nonfiction picture books, it really threw off the data and masked what was happening. So I wanted to make sure to exclude it so you'd see that the average word count for these other nonfiction picture books is about 547 words, but there is a huge range. So why are these books a little bit shorter? Well, they're often geared towards younger readers. They more closely mirror the typical picture book age range of 4 to 8 years. They also tend to more frequently be 32 pages as opposed to 40. These books typically have some of them can be very spare and poetic, so there aren't a lot of words on the page. And these books commonly make use of sidebars and other text features on the pages, but these are supplementary words. They're not included in the main word count because we aren't assuming that readers or guardians will necessarily share them with the readers, especially if they're very young. So that's another reason that the main word count may be more spare, is because they don't have to include everything in that main word count. Some of it can be included in these sidebars or other text features. As with picture book biographies, the word counts of these books most frequently increase during the editing process. So 58% of the time, word counts were increasing once an editor had acquired it. 11% of the time they were staying the same, and only 31% of the time were they decreasing, which is really interesting to me and something I want to dig into a little bit further. You can see the fuller picture here. I didn't include the numbers on this slide because most of the time the published word counts and the acquisition word counts were much closer. It was really just a difference most of the time of 50 or 100 words. As you can see, that red line is lying right over top of the blue line. But the word counts are increasing just a little bit, as you can see. So again, this is a something to explore in the future. So I really do want to know, why are these word counts increasing during the editing process? I've reached out to some authors as well as editors to see if I can get some input about what they're seeing during the editing process. So if you are an author who's had your book grow during editing, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. I'm wondering if our self-imposed limits of 800 or 1,000 words for a book is really forcing us to strip out some of the beautiful parts of our writing and are making it flatter. Maybe we're stripping out some of the scenes, the emotion, and the juicy details. And then when we go into edit with our editor, they're having us add some of that in and expand on it. But again, I want to gather a little bit more data there. So if you've had an experience, I would invite you to share it with me. You can comment below. To access the follow-up study, I would encourage you to follow my blog at kirstenwlarson.com, or sign up for my newsletter so you don't miss any news, including announcements about new classes and other offerings. Good luck reimagining your writing.